Hi, welcome back to Lakeside Quilt Making Arts. I have been out of the studio for 2 days doing lots of other stuff, running on absolute adrenaline. So I'm getting into the studio a lot later than I had hoped to. Thought I would get a lot done today because I'd had 2 days off. Well, it wasn't 2 days off. It was 2 days of a lot more. And like I said, I was running on adrenaline to get all of it done. So I needed a good long rest today. And before I get into it, I'm going to say, okay, this is a good day to just step back and do a little cleaning, a little cleanup on aisle 9, as they might say. So hang on a second. I'm going to vacuum and put down a stress mat for my feet here so that as I'm in my station standing up, my legs have a little bit of extra, cushion. Hang on. Well, that was kind of a colossal waste of my time. This industrial stress relief mat that's meant for like a garage space or a shop space is something my mother gave me. She had it stored in her garage for some period of time, and she finally, said, "What am I doing with this?" So she gave it to me. It's brand new. I took it out of its plastic. It's not been used, but she says she's had it for many years. Well, I thought, that's great. I'll put that in my garage. And then I thought about it this morning. I can put that in my studio. That's where I'm doing my standing on a hard surface. Well, it's going to be a little bit more of an effort than a quick just lay it down because it doesn't fit. And several heavy things have to be moved in order to get it to fit in here. So right now it's just a major trip hazard. But I'm going to try to just not trip over it while I enjoy the fact that I'm standing on a cushioned surface right now while I figure out how to put that center star in there, that 10-point center star. I think that's a great way to start to move the needle today. I'd like to move the needle on the Pick A Petals, log cabins and applique project, that combination of adding my log cabins together so I can put some applique down. I'd also like to move the needle a little bit further on my Piece and Quilt Sampler, but I got to start somewhere and we'll see where I get. I don't have as much time as I thought I'd have because I was not with it this morning. Do you ever have those days when you think, oh gosh, how am I functioning? Do I just need to go to bed for 16 days? Well, today was one of those days. And I don't think it helped that it was an overcast day and kind of cool after we had this beautiful weekend. And now all of a sudden it's cool and gray. And, it's lovely out. It feels fine, but it was just not really helping me to energize me. But I feel fine now. So if you remember, this is what we were going to use for creating our 10-point star. We're going to figure out how to put that in the middle. First things first, I need to go and watch Moda Fabrics YouTube channel where they demonstrated how to do this. I know she did it in a way that I don't want to do it. I want to use the same technique that I used. But there was some information about cutting this away first, like you stitch like a square, she said. And I don't know why you would do a square and not a circle. And what opportunities do I have to completely screw this up if I start cutting away? Should I just cut away from the backside, just cut, that fabric out? Can I not just do that? It seems like I could. Yeah, especially if I stitch inside this area that's going to be covered by the other star. If I stitch down pretty close to all these seams, so as long as whatever I'm stitching is going to be covered by the star, I should be fine. I still don't understand the square. Why a square and not a circle? I'm going to go watch the channel and see. I'll let you know if I find out. Okay, what I did, I looked up what she said, and she said that she wasn't worried about it, so she didn't cut anything out. But what you could do is you could stitch a square and then cut out. And I guess the square is just because you're cutting away more of the surface area with that. What I did is I cut out my template and I placed it on there, and then I used a pencil to poke around underneath it and to mark so that whenever I created my circle, I was definitely underneath what the template is. So that therefore the new star will be completely covering up all of that. And before I cut anything out, I'm going to just double check because I don't want to mess up because I like my little happy star. Yes, there is no part of that pencil line or that stitch line that's going to show. I do question whether or not it's necessary because look, I take out the 2 or 3 layers of fabric that's right here. Okay, so inside this circle, or actually a smaller area than that, because you got to leave some seam allowance. Okay, so you leave a scant 1/4 inch right there. So from there to there, that small inch or so, uh, that small inch or so is only going to be 1 layer of fabric. Does that really matter? Like, is that going to help us? Is it worth the effort? I don't know because any quilting needle is going to have to go over here. It's 3 layers and the batting and the backing, so 5 layers. So I can't stop that. Right now I'm going to add another layer on top of that. So a quilting needle is going to just have to go slow over that area. I'm not gaining a lot by taking that out. So I don't know that I'm going to. I don't know that it would have any value to me to do it. So, I needed to walk through the process just to make sure I wasn't missing anything. And maybe if I went ahead and cut a circle inside that circle, maybe it would teach me yet something else. But right now, I'm going to just leave it. I'm going to just choose to leave it. All right, so that's done. Now I have like I said, I have my little template and I have my fabric to put it on. Let's get busy making that happen. I want to get this done and at least move the needle on my Pick A Petal. Moda's already come out with yet another block that I need to get caught up on. And I got to dive into these petals. I'm sorry. I got to dive into the applique on the Pick A Petal. I got to get my feet wet so that I'm committed. And then most ideally, I will also at least do one little bitty thing to the Piece and Quilt Sampler, even if it's just a matter of putting 2 little seams together. Don't know. We'll see. First things first, I should be able to move pretty quickly from this to this. And why they told us to cut this big of a piece of fabric for this, that doesn't make sense to me. I know I got to do a seam allowance, right? I got to have a seam allowance. I put it on the back side, right? And I got to have a 1/4 inch seam allowance. It doesn't have to be that big. That's a lot of waste of fabric. This template is freezer paper. So whenever I press it, it is going to adhere to the back of that fabric. And then we're going to do what we did last time. We'll trim around it 1/4 inch. And then we'll press that seam allowance over the edge of the template. Easy peasy, 1, 2, 3. No biggie, except I just turned a corner on one of those peaks. Star points, okay. That is pretty stuck. Freezer paper is amazing. I really don't have to mark this with a ruler. Like, what's the advantage? I don't know. Because I think I could eyeball it well enough, but why not do it? It's not like it's a hard thing to do. It's no big deal. You know you're getting exactly 1/4 inch if you do use a ruler and mark it. Now I can imagine that the reason that the Moda Blockhead teacher did not, Lisa, the Moda Blockhead YouTube instructor, I imagine that the reason that she did not want to do this approach is because all these little fine turns would get a little tricky, a little tedious. But I kind of want to see how tedious it is. I want to experience it to see if it's what lessons are in it for me for doing this type of treatment with this many points and valleys, peaks and valleys. That or I'm just a glutton for punishment. We'll find out. May get so far and think, oh, that's why I should have seen that. All right, my friends, there we go. I have it sketched out. And I'm just going to trim it. Now I know that we have to go down to our our valley, like within a thread's difference, because we need to be able to turn this side to that and this side to that. And we can't do that if they're connected. There. So my family and I had a lovely time yesterday celebrating my mother. It was a kind of a reverse Mother's Day. She gave us gifts. She gave each of her children, the household for each of her children, a magnolia tree. And then for each of her, well, I take that back. It wasn't just her adult children. It was all of the adults, because her grandchildren are all adults too. Okay, so all of the adults got a magnolia tree, the household for each adult family member. And then the children got a copy of her birth certificate. No, I'm sorry. And the children each got a karate gi and a certificate, a copy of the certificate that she received in 1971 for getting her black belt. She was told at the time that she was the first woman in the state of Alabama to get her black belt. And she definitely was by that particular school. And she has no reason to believe that, she wasn't the first. So that was a pretty cool thing. That was a really pretty cool thing for her to achieve. And it really says a lot about who she is and who she was. So it's a cool thing for her to give both of those things as a bit of a legacy, for something for the children to be remembered, the children to remember her by. She's 84, and she's doing great. And, her mother was here until she was a little ways past 97. So hopefully she will be as well. But, so we don't always do these things just because the end is imminent, right? We do these things because it's meaningful. And it was a beautiful day. Really a beautiful day. Okay, now I'm going to clip into my valleys. Clip. That's where I've already clipped. Clip 3. Clip 4. Clip 5. Clip 6. Clip 7. Clip 8. Clip 9. Clip 10. Okay. Now we get my little tools out. Get my starch out. So I really should figure out how to lay some parchment paper over the area that I'm putting the starch on. But I kind of feel like it was a little too tedious to know where I was pressing. Trying to keep my iron from getting terribly gunky, you know, but to also press properly without seeing it, I don't know about that. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out. But I do believe I need to use my wand iron for stuff like this. I need to clean my iron anyway, so I'm not going to worry about it, especially with this being really tedious. So now I have a couple more magnolia trees to plant. You know, I planted one with Zoe. Okay, that looks good. This is tedious. So I won't make you watch this. I'll let you know when I get done. There shouldn't be any problems. If there is, I'll bring you back online to watch it. Okay, I did figure out how to use a little bit of like a controllable size of parchment paper to protect my iron from the starch. And again, it really doesn't matter because my iron is already needing to be cleaned because when I did this work, I wasn't protecting my iron. But it's okay. It's okay to clean my iron every once in a while or a lot. So what I'm doing is I am going ahead and turning it before I wet it so that it's not yucky. And so it's not just like complete mush while I'm trying to turn it. So I'm getting it in place and then holding it in place while I put the starch on. I'm putting a good job of it, really. And then I am coming in with the parchment paper and laying that down on top of it before I move my finger, then keeping it on the fingers on top of the paper and coming in with the iron. And again, it'd be good to use my little wand iron for this. Keep some heat on it, give it time to kind of dry out and get a good crease. And I'm pulling this away towards the direction that the fold was. Good. Okay. Now, that's one side, right? Now this side gets a little trickier because it's harder to see your little bitty star point. But it's there, and it does give resistance as you're trying to fold. So it's the same procedure. Fold it over by hand, hold it, then put the starch, protect your iron. There. That's not too bad. I thought that was going to be a lot trickier. And when things are tiny, they're tricky. So this is about as tricky as it's going to get in my world for freezer paper for right now. I'm sure there's something that is a lot trickier, but this is still doable. Really didn't press that long enough. And because it gets confusing, I'm clipping as I go. So I can see, you may not be able to see it from where you are, the distance that the camera is, but I'm going right in there beside that start point and trimming at a bit of an angle. So we have 4 done, and I'll continue to do this and be back on camera in a second. It's done. Isn't that cute? Every time I see something small and I call it cute, I just have flashbacks to a younger version of my son when he was in his young teens, maybe adolescence, talking about how everybody calls little things cute. I don't remember how the conversation went. I just remember it was a good chuckle, and it was just a sweet way for how his young mind was working. But he's right. If you are tiny, if your thing is tiny, whatever it is, it's cute. And that is cute. Now, everything is trimmed down, as you can see, and it's time to take that template out. Kind of nervous because it's pretty plastered in there. So clearly, if you're doing a quilt that required a lot of these, you would not want to rip your template. But I don't know how you could get this template out without tearing it up unless you completely undid your points. And that seems a little bit counterproductive to me. But maybe it's easier than it seems to put all those points back where they came from. Okay, it's completely free of paper. It is a torn template. It is now trash, but I'm going to press that and get it placed on my bigger star. Let me get my garbage out of here. It smells like burned popcorn. It's all this starch. All right, trying to get one of these points in the middle of the light point and one in the middle of the valley of the dark points evenly all the way around. I can tell I didn't do a good of a job on that particular point, so it's not going to be great. And that one is a little bit off too. Let's see how I can compromise to make that one look better. Not much I can do at this point. That one's just going to be off. Okay. You guys can hear Miss Ruby playing. I need to get my glue. Where's my glue? I'll have to work on getting this stress mat laid down properly. I was hoping it would mean not only, would it make my legs and feet feel better standing here, but I was hoping that it would mean that you would hear her less. There'd be less pitter patter, but you can still hear her. And you may be able to hear her more. She's playing with a duck. So I guess if you are doing multiples of these, you would have a little bit of an assembly line going, and that would make it easier, quicker. But it's still a pretty tedious thing. So I'm just making mental note. If I ever design a quilt, I just want to make sure that I'm aware of what kind of work is super tedious and what's not. Okay, so that's glued down. It won't move. I can take it to the machine and sew it. And I kind of want to do, can you see that? Okay, I kind of want to do a straight stitch or a zigzag. Just kind of experiment with what I'm doing here. Are you bossing me? Are you trying to be the boss? Is Miss Ruby trying to be the boss? Is she? Is Ruby trying to be the boss? Okay, I changed my machine to what I think is a zigzag. Why don't I double check that it is the kind of stitch that I think it is? I almost made a colossal mistake. It says to use N. This is J. Oops. Now see, I didn't think about dividing my tape up over that seam. I should do that. N. Put J back where it goes. Okay. I'm using the foot pedal to this machine now. Oh, that's cute. That's not a zigzag, but that's like a tiny buttonhole is what that's like. I like it. That's what I thought that I was getting when I was doing the buttonholes stitches here. Remember me talking about how big of a bite that was? This is a little bitty bite. That's not what that stitch looks like though. Let me show you what it looks like on the machine. That right there is what I've got plugged in. See that emblem? Number 5. Oh, I take that back. See, that has, I didn't know this. See how there's this leaf, a vine 1? What it's actually doing is this one, number 5, right there. Interesting. I like it. That was a happy accident. So now I know. Okay. All right. I'm going to use this one because I liked it. Let's see how that view works. Still using the knee pedal to lift my presser foot and using the foot pedal so I can control things better. I think that's going to help me tremendously. Ah, shoot. I just carried on like I was doing this one again. Ah. I don't want to do that. It does look good though. Can you see how it looks like it's outlined? It looks kind of nice. I'm not going to take it away. I may want to do more of it. But it's hard to see sometimes. Yeah, this is what I did, is I turned to go down here when I should have gone further and gone here, and I just couldn't see well enough. I don't remember having line of sight issues on my finger. Now we can go down the right path. I didn't realize it was going to go backwards one more stitch because it ended up making a stitch. Hang on. It made a stitch at the point. So it's going to be awkward. I'm finding all of this much easier now than I did the first go around. What's making it tedious now is that it's just tiny and it's difficult to see with this. I know even though it's transparent, this part of the foot, it just really makes it hard to see. It's just very confusing to me. Well, it's not quite at the tip, but it's close. And let it come up. I'm gonna just slide it over a little bit. Bake it. I am kind of glad that I am putting blue thread on a busy blue fabric. It's not bad. Let me get the strings off. It's not bad, but it's not bad because I put blue thread on a busy blue fabric. Like here you can see where my needle back stitched once. I thought it was going to go forward and it went backwards. So you got an extra point, extra sharp point on 3 of the points, here, here, and here. It's not the end of the world. No one's really going to be inspecting this besides me. I'm just trying to learn, right? Overall, it's a cute little block. And I have had thoughts of putting something else on here, like using some other little template to radiate the stars out or to have something swirling around the side of it. I don't know. But as it is, it's a beautiful little block, and I'm going to put it up on the wall. And then I'm going to sew together the top and bottom rows, and at least I've moved the needle on that. And then I'm going to see where I am on things. So stay tuned. Okay, let's see how I can get this where I want it. I want it. I've been thinking about this. Oh, and where I want it to go is right here. And I want to move that one up, because I've got 2 6-inch blocks here, 2 here. I'll have 2 here or here. I'd like to have 2 going this direction. And I think that will help me with what I have been bothered by, how much light there is right here, because this one's got a light background and this one's a very heavily white background block. So if I separate those 2, I won't mind this one so much. Well, this block certainly does what I wanted it to do. I do like the way the block looks. Putting it inside the quilt, it is almost almost startling. It's, you know, it was a good interjection of the yellow green. And I think that now that I've kind of gone over like a critical mass point with that green. And that's why another reason I wanted to put it where I put it, so that I could then have like an area of this marble that is kind of a vein of green running through this marbled quilt. And, you know, we've got that going on as it comes up right up through there. Doot, doot, doot. A little bit of dispersed out from that. Got a concentration of your green and a little bit of the green that comes out from that. And we'll have a little bit more. This background in this block that's got the green in it, not this blue green, not the stripe, but that right there. We will have more of that in the quilt, but not a whole lot. Because like I said, because that particular type of background has a lot of white in it. So I don't want to interject a lot. But I think now that we've put this heavy dose of green, which is what my objective was, you know, so I'm not saying that we did a wrong thing, but I said now that we've got a heavy dose of the green in there, Now we need to make sure that it makes sense for it to be in the quilt by having little drops of it throughout the quilt. So we will need to use that yellow green in other places. Okay, so how do we go about that next block? Is it block 19? I don't know that I have it printed out. Oh, I do. This is definitely one that could be colored to do all kinds of things. And definitely something you can only do through foundation paper piecing. Because I look at that initially and I'm like, ooh, it just boggles my mind. It's okay. One step at a time. We move the needle, take one bite at a time out of that elephant, and we make progress. This could be really interesting, but this is not for today. I clearly got behind because of the applique block. It took me 2 weeks to do it. That's okay. I learned a lot from it, right? That's absolutely fine. As long as I'm moving the needle every day, I know things get done. Moving them in a productive way. Now let's make some progress on that right there. Or how can I point in that direction? This is so hard. Oh, this is so hard. That is the Piece and Quilt Sampler. I'm going to put together my top and bottom row, and then I'm going to assess where I am on the Pick A Petal so I can make sure that I can start in on the embroidery work. Okay, let's get these put together. So make 4 seams is all I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. Let's get some light over here. Here we go. Should not be too bad. I mean, it's one of those things that you think, oh, it's just 4 seams, 4 little seams. But you do have to match up other seams, and you want them to match up pretty well, because since they're only 3-inch blocks, it's really easy for them to look bad. Every little bit of error has a greater impact than it might on a bigger block. Oh, gotta change my needle, change my foot, and change my stitch. Why is it not going? I got my foot almost all the way down on this. Oh, shoot. Okay, I can live with that. It's not perfect. The points are chopped off, but not badly. These points are almost perfect. They could be a little bit closer, so I'm not gonna quibble over that. That one's ready for the ironing. Oh, no, let's put this on it. So I don't forget which order these things go in. Just go ahead and attach it. So I guess it's 3 seams per row, not 2 seams per row. Get this done and then see what I can do on the Pick A Petal to get myself set up to get started on my applique work there. I won't have much time, so don't get too terribly excited. We're not doing anything terribly exciting there, but we're going to do something. I don't know. Just got to understand what is needed of me so I can get a plan together. So it's not look too bad. But this one's not quite as wide as this one was, but it's more like this, so it's okay. It's okay. I think maybe this one was cut a little bit long, because from these points to the edge is more of a distance than what that point to the edge is, or that point to the edge. So I'll be able to trim this one down. Okay. So far, no major issues. Normally when I'm trying to do one little quick thing, looks super simple, it becomes complicated. Now that I'm using the foot pedal and I'm using it to lift that right leg, I'm using it to lift the foot. This is almost like patting your head and rubbing your belly kind of thing. It's like, what am I doing? Definitely a coordination issue. But I do like having control with my foot, you know, so I can vary the speed that I need at the moment. I already created some muscle memory of wanting to start and stop with my thumb. Oh, those look real good. I like these secondary patterns that you're getting as these blocks are added together. And they vary. It's going to be a lot of movement. Okay, I'm not pressing these yet. I'm just getting them sewn together. My lawn guy is outside. You can probably hear him. I had such a good time with young Asher this weekend. We were outside doing a few things, and it was so good. Like, I haven't done that kind of stuff in so long. I haven't felt that well doing any outside work in even longer. And it was just nice to try to do something in the yard. We put together a garden cart and then moved some mulch around and, you know, that kind of thing. Just piddly stuff that made a difference. It was fun. I can live with all that. That looks pretty good. This could be a little bit better, but it's not bad. And that could be better on that bottom, but I think it was just one of those that was really close to the edge. It is. So that's the best that one's going to get. What can I do on the Pick A Petal Appliqué? I know I need to get 4 of the log cabins sewn together. But maybe that's what I do. Maybe I just sew together 4 log cabins. Because you got to have 4 put together to accept the applique. That would be a reasonable thing to do in the amount of time that I have. But I want to do something else too. Okay, it'll be a little bit better. The point of this one is obviously too high. It's just going to have to be okay. Okay, these go to the ironing station, so they're there when I add it next. The way I had the log cabins dispersed, I liked that, so it was easy for me to just go and grab 2 of them so I can get them stitched together. One of these is bigger than the other one. Let me go do some measuring before I sew this. Yeah, one is a little bigger than the other one. I'm just going to try to make up the difference on one side or the other and then trim them all to be equal and deal with it. I will just have to deal with it. Little Miss Susie Q down here is trying to get my attention because she wants to be fed. That's as fast as it will go with a foot pedal. That's kind of interesting to me. Like that was pedal to the metal all the way down. Okay, I'm gonna get the other two. I promise you, as soon as I get these two stitches together, these two seams together, I will go and feed little Miss Rosie. She will not be starving. I see you, sweetie. Oh, let me just go do it. I can't stand it for a baby to go hungry. Okay, these line up much better. I think what she was telling me about was that the lawn guy was actually in our backyard. He was done riding the lawnmower and he was using the string trimmer but Zoe used to not be able to handle that. She would just go berserk. At least Ruby's not doing that. She'll notify me of all kinds of stuff, like she caught a dragonfly earlier today and she needed to tell the neighborhood about it. Oops, we will have a seam matching up right there, so I better make sure they match up. Anyway, having 4 of these log cabins done means I will have a landscape on which I can grow some flowers. Appliqué flowers, to be exact. I'm so surprised it doesn't go very fast with the foot pedal. Oh, I bet you it's controlled by this. Ah, hang on. It does. I didn't realize. Duh. I feel a little smarter now. I didn't realize that there would be a speed control up here once you were using the foot pedal. I knew it controlled the speed when I was using the control here. Okay, these 4 are ready to be pressed. The 2 Piece and Quilt Sampler rows are ready to be pressed. Okay, I'm glad this is a good stopping point because I look at this and I'm already overwhelmed. I think I'm fine figuring out this part and this part and this part and this part. It's this right here that I've got problems with. I don't know how to do that. I think Barbara mentioned it in her video. I'll have to go back and watch. But I think this is just gonna be fun and I'm anxious to get to it. I just can't get to it today. It's 5 o'clock. I need to make sure I eat. I need to make sure that I do my dishes and stuff like that before I sit down to edit. So I better stop so I can get this done. It's gonna be like craft time. Just fun because it's whimsical. I think that's why I love it, because it's whimsical. So I got 1 blockhead star done. Got my log cabins put together. They're not pressed yet. I got my 2 little rows for my Piece and Quilt Sampler block done. Progress, moved the needle on more than 1 thing. We moved the needle on 3 things, finished 1 thing, and moved the needle on 2 others in some significant ways. This is setting us up for success. I kind of want to go ahead and press this and put that and just finish that block. I think I've got time to do it. I'm just probably going to do that real quick. Hang on, Buttercup. Okay, everything's ready to put together. This won't take very long at all. Have you guys been productive over the weekend? Did you enjoy your Mother's Day? I know Mother's Day and all the holidays can be tough sometimes because we all have reasons to miss somebody, or a variety of reasons why holidays can be difficult, but there's also others who we can celebrate and reasons why we can find a holiday enjoyable, and I hope that's what you all had. Next one we have will be Memorial Day, I do believe. I'm going to be getting my surgery scheduled. I heard back from the surgeon, they're probably thinking July, which is going to be interesting. This will be surgery number 16 for me. When I had this surgery to put this hardware in, this is the hardware at the front of the neck. It was just a single level fusion. When I put that, when he put that hardware in, I told everybody it was like that surgery was a walk in the park. You know, maybe not a catered luxury leisure walk in the park, but as far as surgeries go, it was the easiest I've had. I hope I now do not have to eat my words and, you know, turn into be a disaster of a surgery for some reason, to be more painful or something. It shouldn't be. I mean, it is just one level, and he's not doing a fusion. He's just going in and taking out screws, which sounds so lovely, doesn't it? So I'll let you guys know how our schedule gets adjusted when that comes around. The duplex is selling, and I got to get the short-term rental furnishings sold and out of there. So I'm going to be putting together an estate sale this month. So there'll be reasons why I'll be in town a little bit more than normal, probably a good bit more than normal. So I'll have a little bit less time in the studio, but not no time. So I have to practice what I preach. It is all going to be about moving the needle. Just move the needle. Keep the needle moving. And before long, you've got a design board full of blocks, and you're wondering where you're going to put more. It's a good problem to have. Okay, I'm ready to sew. Sometimes these easy things are a great way to end, huh? I think it all looks pretty good. All right, that's all acceptable. Let's do the other one. We can say that we have finished block 1 of Piece and Quilt. I feel good about that. Kids are going to be getting out of school here soon. We have a different schedule here. I don't know if it's just an Alabama thing or if it's just the South in general, but our kids get out of school sometime next week. I think generally they're out around the 18th or 19th, something like that. And I've been promising Liam, the one who's the Mars quilt is for, that he can come and visit for an extended stay, and the same thing for Asher. But I need to get done with the duplex before I have them here. Asher's a little older, so I could probably have him with me while I'm doing stuff with the duplex. But Liam is a very responsible young man at his young age, so very well behaved. So I could probably work with him too. I don't know. We'll just have to see how things go. Right now, all I'm really worried about is putting these seams together so that they line up. We finish this block well. Feel good about it and not have any oopsies at the end. No need to have oopsies. And we're this close to finishing a multi-step block. Oh, this kind of block makes you committed to the quilt, right? Like there's just so much that went into this one block. 12 of one little block called the SHOOFLY. And they're just 3 inches, so that was fun, right? Added a little bit of complexity, not much, just made it a little bit more fiddly and tedious. And then you had to make a star to go in the middle. At least we have our colorway picked out, right? For the entire quilt now. That's part of doing the first block, is just the colorway. But now we've got that all figured out. Moving on to block 2 should be pretty smooth. Should be a smooth process. All right, it looks good. I'm gonna go press everything. One last pressing on this block. As I set my camera to look at this scene here that you're seeing on screen, and it looks so messy, I was thinking back to watching the video this morning of Pat Sloan showing off her studio. Not showing it off, but, you know, showing it to us. And it's so neat. And I have a feeling it's always neat, but it's not very large. And in any given video, you can see a lot. And like, there's never any messes like you see here on mine. I've always got messes. I don't know how she does that. She's talked before about how she does it. You know, she's very organized. And that's great. That's required anytime you're working in a small space. She's fairly prolific. I know she has some people sewing for her too. Like, I think she does. But she sews in that space. I just don't know how you do it. She does her own editing and everything. So kudos to her. I don't think she's as ADHD as I am. Tell you, these pecan pickers are so awesome at separating seams, and holding them down and pressing them down. I just love them. That's a good start. Gosh, once a block comes together, it just takes on its own life. Isn't that a pretty thing? A lot of seams in this block. Gonna put that on its wall. It just has a little design board right now, but it'll have a wall eventually. Oh, that looks good. Looking at it in the screen, it looks even better than it does in person. Because these blues really pop on the screen. I don't know what it's gonna look like on your display, but I am loving it. Man, you know, you hear about these colors, moody and stormy and muddy, and you think you're going to get garbage. But in my personal opinion, that is not garbage. Can you say bye to everybody? Can you say bye to everybody? Yeah. No, I just want you to shower me with love and affection. That's all I want. Life is simple. Ruby? Ruby? Yes, baby girl. Can you say bye-bye? Just use your ear. Say bye-bye. See you guys later. Hope you have a great time in your studio stitching away. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be here, and you're more than welcome to visit. See you soon. Bye-bye.